Well, today is the day we're going to go over this car and see how bad it really is and if it is worth saving. I think I already know the answer, and if you watch my last video, I think you do too. But before we get stuck into the nitty-gritty of this thing, let's jump to that intro. I thought we'd start with an A4 book because I feel like we might need that extra space on the page. Now what we'll do is we'll go through it from a perspective of, you've bought this car, it's got tax and MOT, ignore the fact that the clutch is going, we'll add that price in later. The clutch is gone, sorry. But we will take it as if you're going to take it for an MOT and make it a good roadworthy car, and then I'm also going to cover the bodywork as if you're going to get that sort of touched up and repaired, not a full respray because obviously that will sort of not be worthwhile. And this is solely just to make it road legal. This isn't putting additional modifications on or anything like that. This is just what I feel it needs to be a good, safe, day-to-day car should you want to buy one. Now, the purchase price for me was £1,000. I'm not hiding anything. I overpaid, I reckon, looking at it now, but it is what it is. Obviously, it's got some nice parts on. And I paid approximately £250 for trailer rental and fuel. So £1,250. Chalk that up now. So we're going to start front to back, and we'll cover all that I think is necessary. So starting at the front, we've got the headlights. There is no beam pattern. There is layers and layers of corrosion, and they are in a really, really bad state of affairs. Now, to purchase a new set of headlights is about £120 for a pair of Xenons in a good working condition that don't need a polish. Moving further down the car, we're stood at the front. We've got the front discs and pads. They are below the minimum thickness and will need replacing. Plus, they're horrible. Do you know what I mean? They could definitely make the car a lot better, but they are below minimum thickness. So that's about £100. All these prices are done between sort of Euro car parts with discount and eBay, so as if you're going to purchase them as a normal person and do all the work yourself, okay? I've got two prices. We'll go through the first prices as if we're going to do all the work ourselves at home on the floor. Front shock absorbers, springs and top mounts, because these coilovers are absolute trash. You wouldn't be able to adjust them if you wanted to. They are at least 6 or 7 years old, which if you know Stance Plus, you will know that they do not last that long. Now, unfortunately, I've not had the benefit of driving this car, so this is solely just to get it good from a visual perspective. Now, it may drive horribly afterwards, but that we are not covering. This is just to get it through an MOT. So for front shocks, springs and top mounts is £170 for the pair. Then we will move towards the rear of the car. That's all I could find at the front that would be an MOT failure. All the brake pipes and everything look okay. Calipers seem all right, but like I said, without driving it, wouldn't be able to tell for sure. Moving to the back, again, discs and pads on the rear. Last time they were done 6 years ago, and they are at minimum thickness and they are horrible. In the back, there's uneven wear, so they definitely need replacing for their best. They're only £75, not a bad one that. Rear spring seats. So the rear springs should be sat on a rubber mounting plate because the way they're sat at the moment, they are metal to metal. And if you can imagine the cars going up and down there, moving around, they are semi-loose in position and it will damage them and then they will end up breaking. They're only £20 a pair, getting all the bargains here. Whilst we're on brakes, rear brake pipes and flexies. Now these are in a horrible state of affairs. And they were actually mentioned on the last 2 MOTs. Now it says covered in grease or dirt, not able to see them. However, you can clearly see that they are swollen and horrible. And they could explode at any time. Now I would recommend, if you've not looked at your brake pipes, of course your MOT tester should have, but just give them a courtesy glance, give them a clean. You can put some protective something on them just to stop them going any worse. But the last thing you want to do is hit that brake pedal. The pedal hits the floor because one of the pipes has exploded and you have no brakes. Now the rear brake pipes and flexies are only about £50 for the pair. So quite a cheap one as well. Probably not as easy to do though. It needs a near side rear caliper, which is £50 as it does not work. You put the handbrake on and the wheel still spins. and it needs 2 rear tyres. Now I have gone for, price-wise, £215 a pair because I am replacing what is already on there, which is Michelin's, which is what I would use and is what is on the front. Now the reason we're replacing those is because on the inner edge they are bald. I think it needs a little bit of camber adjustment. I think that's probably where it had coilovers on before, because there was some receipts in 2018, 2019 for adjusting the rear suspension. And obviously it's got coilovers on the front. So we'll take a guess and say that needs adjusting. And obviously you can see there's new rear spring and rear shock, which means it's only recently had the coilovers taken off. So they're £215 a pair. Now, going over to the mechanicals, a clutch kit, dual mass and flywheel clutch kit and the slave cylinder is £568 just for the parts. And it also needs a timing belt, as I can't find in the book the last time that it was done. I think, if I'm right, it was done in 2015. But the problem is, if people don't write it in the book and they just tick things, it doesn't really say. Although, no, maybe not even in 2015. So there is arguably no record that I can find to say that the cam belt has ever been done. Maybe in 2011. So well overdue. Cam belt, kit, water pump, everything, £220 to buy. So that gives us a grand total of £1,588 in parts. Now that is obviously give or take the time as to when you buy them, where you buy them from, but this is the cheapest I could find of a brand that I'd like to use rather than some absolute garbage. So we're at £1,588 just for parts. Now if you are happy to do everything on the list, bar the clutch kit and the cam belt, that would be, instead of being £1,588 and you got the cam belt and the clutch done by a company, you'd be looking at somewhere around £2,120 for all of that. Now, if you were to add on the labour to do everything on this list, if you didn't want to do anything yourself, if you weren't mechanically minded, weren't interested, just wanted to get it done, that would be another £640. You'd be looking at £2,760, okay? And that is just to have a mechanically sound working car. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but we haven't finished. So, moving on to bodywork, because if you bought a TT, you haven't bought it because you wanted it to sit inside and it looked really nice inside and you weren't too worried about the outside. And this is quite a common thing on TTs. Obviously, dents and scratches are the same on every car. Some cars suffer with rust worse than others. Usually, TTs go in one of two places, here, and then back here on the sills. Now the sills, you can buy new covers if you have sill problems. You can buy new ones of these. I think they're about, last time I looked, £175, £180 per sill, and then paint as well because they just come in black. Or if you speak to one of our lovely breakers, because there is so many now, I could recommend you a few. You may be able to get, if you're lucky, in the correct colour, in not too bad a condition. You can do a little bit of prep on the back, bit of underseal, make sure they're not going to go any further, and they'll probably last you a good few years. Wings wise, so let's start with this. So I have priced this as if you're sourcing or having repairs done on your existing stuff. So if, providing these are savable, which I don't think they are, but you can probably pick up another one for sort of 50 to 60 quid in not too bad a condition. So a pair of front wings, we'll say replace and painted using used parts, is about £200 a wing. So that's £400. Repair the front bumper now. There is some damage to the front bumper, and I have estimated this is about £200 to £250, because usually any car, if you speak to any paint place, they'll usually charge, depending on where they are, £200 to £300 per panel. So we'll say £250 for that. Because you're going to be getting loads of stuff done, paint the little scuff on the sill on the other side is £150 on the passenger side, that scuff. That'd be £150 with the blend in. Repair the scratch on the near side, so that'll be a rear quarter paint, which also includes blowing into the door and other areas just to make sure it's nice. That'll be £250. And then I've put after that a complete machine polish at £250. And hopefully that will get rid of some of this horrible scratching along the side, because it doesn't feel, You can't really feel it, which usually is a good indication you'll be able to get that off. But a good garage will obviously run over with a machine polish, and then anything that needs doing will need doing. And then the other thing is, I noticed this on the near side, the passenger side, it's starting to rust on the top of the sill where the sill meets the rear quarter. But obviously that can get done whilst they're painting the sill and the rear quarter. So I haven't factored that in. So if we were to say you do all the work yourself, engine and all mechanical work yourself, but you paid to get the paintwork done, you would be looking at £2,938. If you were to pay to do nothing at all, and you just took it into a garage and said, look, here's our list of mechanical, here's some bodywork that needs doing, then we'd be walking out the door at £4,110. Now, like I said, that price could go up or down depending on where you go, and the likelihood is that probably the price will go up because I've priced it fairly conservatively. So we'll take that car at £1,250, add on that £4,110, and you're looking at, quick maths, £5,360. Now, the reason I did this video is because I wanted to show you what these cars can be like. And just to bear in mind, I'm not trying to put you off because these are fantastic cars, absolutely fantastic. But it shows how important service history is. It can go for an MOT every year and it can pass an MOT every year. It doesn't mean that it's a great car. Regular maintenance, if you're going to a garage, they're giving it a full service, they're going to be checking things. They're going to be checking your brake minimum thickness. They're going to be checking your brake pipes. And they're going to be saying to you, look, next year, that needs doing. This needs doing. That's an advisory, but we recommend strongly that you do that. And all of these things are important. I mean, cam belt, if the cam belt goes, new engine, £1,000 straight away. So if this car was washed and had a load of quick detailer on and looked all nice and shiny, and the clutch wasn't gone, so if we took off 560 quid off the bill, you're still looking at £1,000 worth of mechanical works. So do your due diligence, watch the Parrot Bros, check out the buyer's guide. I'm going to do another one at some point, a bit updated. And I haven't even gone on to the fact that the pixels are no good. I completely forgot about that. The clocks don't work. So the mileage, the fuel gauge and the temperature they just go for a walk on their own. So that's 160 to 180 pounds to get fixed. So all these things add up. And if, like I said, if this was all washed and polished and shiny and you could drive it and it felt good, you might buy it. And you could pay ballpark, let's say the bodywork is the same as it is now, but it was shiny, it didn't look too bad, like in the video, walk around I did on the last one. This would be a £2,000 car. And bar the clutch, you would be looking at, let's take off 500 quid off of our bill of 4,100, so it'd be like £3,600. So you'd pay £2,000, then you'd have another 3,600, so you'd be looking at £5,600. So you're still at a similar price to what I would be at if I was to repair it. So unfortunately, on this occasion, and I'm sure there'll be some that will still say, come on, Don, fix it. It's not worth it. Because even if I was to buy all of these bits and not do the paintwork, I would still be in at nearly £2,000. I'd be in over £3,000 on this car, and I would never get that back in a million years. Not with the bodywork like it is, and I'm not going to pay to get the bodywork done. So unfortunately, this one is going to get recycled, but it's great for you guys. Loads of cheap parts. As long as I get my money back, I'll be happy. I'm not trying to make money, but I think it is time to get this off the road. I don't know what the engine and gearbox is like because I've never driven it. So these are all factors that could be a problem later down the line. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to scare people off buying a TT, so please don't take it as that. I just want to open your eyes to some of the cars that could be out there. This is 22 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old, and it shows. But from the outside, if you were driving down the road, it would look fine. Bit of food for thought. But like I said, if you want me to look over any links, if you want to buy a TT and you're not sure what it might be like, I'm more than happy to overlook a link, have a look at the links and ads and sales and say to you, look, I recommend asking this, this and this, or check this, this and this, because at the end of the day, I want you to be in a great Mark 1 for many, many years to come. I hope you've enjoyed watching that, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Bye for now.